Hey guys, yeah, I don't really know what I'm gonna title this video. This is kind of something I've been wanting to make for a really, really long time before I even started becoming a Twitch streamer. I always liked and enjoyed watching like Pyrocynical, and even when PewDiePie used to do like philosophical videos and things like that. I really like in-depth analyses and things like that, and I wanted to make one myself based on things that I had really enjoyed watching during quarantine. So if you guys watch this, enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, share it around if you guys really do enjoy it. I don't want any of that fake love. But if you guys do really enjoy it, like, share it around, please. I think the point of this video is to really just, relax, to have something to like kind of play around in the background, or if you actually do like hearing me analyze character development between two different series, then yeah, thank you so much. Enjoy the video. In earth and in culture, good and evil are placed on two very high pedestals that are carried by morals. These morals carry us with intelligent enlightenment and are the very foundation that build us to be who we grow as and to become in the future. But sometimes those lines are blurred, grayed out, and even argued. Earlier this year, during quarantine, I rewatched the anime series BERSERK, an anime where a swordsman mercenary by the name of Guts is hired by a traveling mercenary army led by another named Griffith. The dynamic between these characters are almost black and white, but always keep you on your toes because you never truly know whom is good or bad. Something else I've been doing recently during quarantine is playing the infamous From Software series trilogy, Dark Souls, a series of games where you as a player are fighting frivolously for your right at humanity, playing the middle area between the Way of White and the Hollows of Londor, both influencing your choices very precisely to show the tide to their favor. And today, I'm going to take conclusions on how these titles draw you in so beautifully on what is now, especially in today's time, one of the most important topics to discuss: what is good or evil. Since I brought it up first, I'll be lightly explaining and discussing this dynamic between Guts and Griffith. And don't worry, I won't spoil anything major, but if you do at any point feel interested, please go watch this anime, as it's one of the best anime I've ever seen. Trust me on that. I watch a lot of anime. But to my point, earlier in the anime we see Guts as this rugged, dark, and to be put simply, blunt character. Even early on, soldiers around him call him the Black Knight, as he's very merciless in battle. As the anime proceeds, we see Guts has very little to almost no time being morally imposed, almost times no remorse at all. Later in the story we see why, but it creates this narrative that he is not one who cares for good or bad. And as he travels, he's met by the Band of the Hawk, an army compiled of mercenaries who look out for each other and keep very close-knit, led by a man named Griffith. This man is beautiful, crystal blue eyes and white hair, wearing very clean and regal white knight armor, and we see this comparison almost immediately that Guts and Griffith are not the same, in fact almost complete opposites. To save time, we see this recurring theme happen every interaction between them. Their battle for Guts' life indicates it almost perfectly in their fighting styles as well. Guts loses and is forced to join the Band of the Hawk. Now these themes keep recurring, but lines blur more every time. We see Guts become more empathetic and sympathetic, risking his life for others. He even battles himself with this mentally early on, and we can see that the Band of the Hawk has grown on him, especially Griffith. Griffith, on the other hand, becomes more obsessed with his dream of becoming a king of his kingdom one day. Through the anime, becoming more tyrannical and doing things very questionable get to where he desires. Now in history, we see this happen, and we think to ourselves, well, that's not something a person of goodwill would do, and I don't think I even have to say that to make that point. But if someone so dark and merciless as Guts was in the past can change to an empathetic soul with the courage to literally put his life in front of others, surely Griffith must have a reason of why he's so tenacious. But it's not that simple and never will be, and Berserk paints this beautifully, always making you question whom is good or bad. But their color scheme and dialects almost show no justice for how blunt they put it, and they want you to think Guts is bad, Griffith good. Even based on their past dealings, as Griffith has always put others before him, even letting pedophiles have their way with him to feed his army. Guts, on the other hand, was previously self-centered, letting his allies die beforehand if he thought he would risk himself being injured. But again, these drawn dynamics even change roles. Now I ask you, are you a person who judges their characteristics based on someone's past, or are you one to judge them and their? Now, that may not seem like a dynamic change, but I do believe everyone can change. Now, more and more in the anime, we see Griffith only risk his life for Guts, as he becomes fascinated and fixated on how brave he is, but never once another soldier would see that. But Guts going into battles by himself completely alone, knowing his comrades would be more safe because he begins to care about them, and more importantly, he cares about Griffith. To not spoil anything and to end it off, we see these roles reversed and Griffith become greedy and essentially sacrifice everyone's life but his own, even Guts' life, the one person he would never let die for his dream and his dream alone, power. We see this dynamic drawn perfectly in the Dark Souls trilogy as well. After all, the founder of this series, Hatataka Miyazaki, was inspired by Berserk and loves the tale himself. In the Dark Souls series, we see a power known as the Flame, used by gods to create humanity, and give these once soulful pygmies a way of life. But fire slowly fades and these once soulful humans lose that soul and become undead. Now, being undead isn't inherently bad, but your soul remains. But if you lose your will to live, you will become hollow. What the fire fading does mean is that the power these gods once have will be lost. If you rekindle that fire, the fire won't fade, but these gods are afraid of losing that power and won't allow humans becoming hollow as a reason for losing that. But the dynamics of this are very blurred due to the Hollows of Londor that you meet later on in the series. The Hollows of Londor are led by a primordial being known as Karth. They are fighting for the right of the human and fighting back for humanity. They strip away the power from the gods way of white, enslave hollows and undead to keep their power status quo in check. We see this across the board when things for the way of white don't go to plan and they're forced to create Lords of Cinder, to whom are very powerful beings that can all kill gods. But as you progress through the third game specifically, you start to see both sides become desperate, asking help from Unkindled, essentially a Lord of Cinder yourself, either rekindle the flame or usurp the flame, either keeping the cycle of fire lit or beginning the Age of Dark, as they put it, the Age of Hollows. These gods in game are quite beautiful and thriving, always being in white and gold garb or silver armor, and always live at the highest of castles. On Orlando, the castle where the god King Gwyn ruled, was rested upon a mountain higher than most mountains in the land, and at first these gods were fond of hollows and undead, as they helped enact the Age of Fire, and winning away against the dragons keeping Gwyn's rule alive. But again, we see the apparent good become greedy with power and do whatever it costs to stay inside their shell of power, but their actions before made humanity. Something so beautiful as free will, just to take it away from someone. Are the Hollows of Londor really that evil for fighting for the people? These dynamics really screw the line between good and evil so well, it obscures our reality of what is perceived to be good and evil. And I mean, ironically, angels will murder people for their sake of power. In society, angels protect and defend innocence as something sacred, and I know that's fictional and from a game, but let's be honest here, when's the last time you've heard of someone so inherently good, presently they've never done bad? I believe the authors of both these titles are explaining to the consumer that not everything is so black and white, and that inherent good and inherent evil are sometimes only seen that way through perception. Maybe judgment isn't necessary, and maybe we should be more apprehensive to people when we judge others. Ironic enough, these same dynamics also cater those exact top moral values but twist right in front of you. As I was watching and playing these titles, I couldn't help but have a mental battle with myself on which side was really in the right or wrong. I kept fighting myself, seeing both sides have their ups and downs. I think as humans and as a society, it's good we have moral standards set, but we do witch hunt a lot. If I was Guts and had seen Griffith sacrifice his whole army for something as fickle as a kingdom, I'd understand his anger, and if I was a human with will and a soul just to see it get thrown into a fire for others to feel comfortable, I'd also feel very disrespected. But maybe they aren't in the wrong. I tend to have a problem seeing the good in almost every situation. And hear me out. If you had the capability to own your own kingdom and you knew you were the only king that would govern your people correctly and fairly, would you let someone get in your way? Would you have yourself sacrificed for someone else just for them to burn your kingdom down? Would you give human souls and realize that the curse all along was humanity? And knowingly sad for the race, you'd rather have them die by your hand rather than rot as a hollow or try anew? Some may see it as tyrannical and dictator-like, and others would see it as realistic and fair. Some may see it as merciful and others may see it as completely ignorant. I see it as the exact reason why this anime and game trilogy's authors and creators are some of the most brilliant and artistic people that have ever graced media. So what is truly good and what is truly evil?